You're gonna need to know this. You're gonna need to draw it, yes. Medians. A median in a triangle starts at a triangle's vertex and goes to the midpoint of the opposite side. It starts in the vertex, goes to the midpoint of the opposite side.
So when we drew, the center points, whatever those things are,
The bisectors,
no, the cent.
you're talking about the circumcenter?
Circumcenter.
No, circumcenter goes with perpendicular bisectors. When the sides of the triangle meet, okay, when I have perpendicular bisectors, wherever those meet at is the circumcenter. Got it? This is if a median is created and a median comes out of the vertex and cuts the other side in half. Out of the vertex, cuts the other side in half. Out of the vertex, cuts the other side in half. That is called a centroid.
Sorry, I'm confused. Can you say that again? I was writing it down.
Median in a triangle starts at a triangle's vertex and goes to the midpoint of the opposite side. The centroid is the three medians points of concurrency.
So like,
So medians, so
median-
listen,
the three
when-
medians would be a little triangle, right?
listen, stop. All of them are going to make triangles inside or outside of the shape. When you are dealing with perpendicular bisectors, you know that the perpendicular bisectors meet to create a circumcenter. And then when you have perpendicular bisectors, you then know that from that circumcenter to the vertex, from that circumcenter to the vertex, from that circumcenter to the vertex, those are all congruent. This is saying we start by coming out of the angle and we cut the other side in half. Does it say anything about there being a perpendicular there?
No,
So it might not be perpendicular to the other side, it just cuts the other side in half.
but they are angle bisectors.
No, it says that it's in a triangle, starts at a triangle's vertex. It does not say that it's an angle bisector necessarily. It starts at the vertex. And the reason it's not necessarily angle bisector, we're gonna look in a second, because there is one called the angle bisector. We kind of discussed that a little in that packet. What goes with angle bisectors, what point? Incenter. So an angle bisector's point of concurrency is an incenter. A perpendicular bisector's point of concurrency is a circumcenter, and a median's point of concurrency
It's a centroid.
is a centroid. Okay? So, this is what it looks like. See how on this one, you will be able to tell that the opposite side has two congruent parts, two congruent parts, two congruent parts. That's how it will be marked for you to be able to tell which one's which. Do you see anything perpendicular in there? No. Okay? Do you see any angles that are cut in half in there?
Yes.
I'm sorry, are there marked as being cut in half?
No, but they could.
Well, then you can't assume in geometry. Okay?
So what's the?
So this is, the distance from a vertex to the centroid is 2/3 the length of the median. That's the concurrency of medians. The distance from a vertex to the centroid, from A to G, is 2/3 of the distance from A to F. So if I know what FG is, I know what AG is. Because FG is 1/3 of AF. Okay? So you can start to solve for different triangles that are in there. Okay? Every median is the larger part coming from the vertex to that centroid is 2/3 of the whole median that was created. Okay? So if I know what EC is, and I know what GE is, I can figure out what GC is using, I can figure out what GC is because I know that GC would be 2/3 of, or would be, yeah. GD is 1/3 of DC, so it's 2/3 of CD. So I can figure out stuff off of that. Okay? A median. What is XC?
Cross country.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
18.
Why do you say 18, Abby?
Because you have to add it there.
No, it's
No, it
18
Yeah, but why?
because 2/3
Uh-huh.
times. Wait, could I do times?
Because 2/3 of the whole is XM, correct? And XM is 12.
Yeah.
So if I broke XM into half, it would be
For chicken.
6, right?
Yeah.
Plus 6 is 18.
That's why I'm easy.
So XC is 18, yes?
Exactly, you can still kiss them, they just be.
Guys, this would be why we struggle sometimes on our quiz and test. Focus.
Because Alex puts cocaine in his water?
Because Alex
No.
distracts me. Can I please move? I cannot focus by him.
Can
It's
I
not his
do-
fault, it's my fault.
The only, no, just say. Okay, so it is 18, XC is 18, okay? What is MC then?
6.
6, okay? That's what we're looking to do.
Wait, why would it be
Less than
six?
something.
Because
X
it's
is-
1/3 of the whole of XC.
What's the difference between that concurrency and median theory?
Oh.
What is the difference between what?
We just wrote down a concurrency and median theorem. and then
They're the
it's
same
another
thing. This is just in color.
one.
And the next one is medians intersection.
No,
Altitudes,
it's not.
okay, altitudes. Altitude is a line segment from a vertex that is perpendicular to the line containing the opposite side. Okay, so an altitude can happen in a triangle or on the outside. See how right here, this is the altitude from that vertex, Y to side XZ. It's on the inside, it creates a perpendicular, yes? Over here though, because I have a different type of triangle, from B to A, okay, you have to pretend that this line is extending out further now. Okay, I always draw it out further so that I can draw my perpendicular bisector and do it that way, cause I think that's smarter. But my altitude is on the outside of this one, okay? So an altitude is a line segment from the vertex that is perpendicular to the line containing the opposite side. Once again, different than a perpendicular, yeah, with the, what,
So why can't you just make a line on point A just straight up?
on A? Because now A has to go from this vertex over to this side, it has to be perpendicular to the side opposite it.
Okay.
So it's from the vertex to the side opposite of it, okay?
Oh, I see, I see.
Oh, okay.
And for C, it would be from this side to, or from this vertex to the side opposite of it, wherever that perpendicular would happen.
So you're basically
Okay.
like making a right triangle.
You are making a right triangle.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so an altitude can be inside or outside the triangle. Altitudes, okay? Once again, before I say this, what goes with circumcenter? Perpendicular what?
Bisector.
What goes with incenter?
Angle bisector.
What goes with,
Medians.
medians, yeah.
Centroids.
Centroids. Orthocenters go with altitudes. You're gonna need to make sure you get that straight in your head. The altitudes of a triangle intersect at a point called the orthocenter. Okay, on an acute triangle, the orthocenter is inside the triangle.
Gotcha.
On a right triangle, the orthocenter is on the triangle at that 90-degree angle. Because look, from this vertex to this side is the perpendicular bisector. From this vertex to this side is the perpendicular bisector. From this vertex to this side is my perpendicular, so the orthocenter is right there at that corner of the 90-degree angle. That should always be the easiest one for you to figure out. On an obtuse triangle, your orthocenter is outside of the triangle. Now, do you see how this can get confusing? What does this look like it could possibly be instead of altitudes? Perpendicular bisectors. What do I know about perpendicular bisectors though? They have to split the sides in equal portions. Are these sides marked in equal portions? No, so that's why I know it's not a perpendicular bisector. Okay, we have to bring everything together information wise and really study what we're looking at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm so thirsty. Can I make a pass by the joke?
after we're done.
Okay.
Okay, so orthocenters go with altitudes, okay? Altitudes. Ortho. Okay, then you have medians, what do medians go with? Centroid. What do perpendicular bisectors go with?
Concurrency, angle bisectors. What is concurrency?
No,
It goes with,
I'm confused.
the circumcenter.
circumcenter.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Okay, one
dang it.
second. Okay, and what do angle bisectors go with?
In center.
In centers. Okay, what's your question?
Like, shouldn't everything, they should all be inside the triangle?
No.
Cause like, I'm confused on how it'd be, cause when you're doing the obtuse, you can make it any length to the end. If you're doing it that way.
They all have to meet at a point. So the only way they meet on an obtuse one is if you continue it outside of the triangle for them to meet. Because it's from this vertex, right, the perpendicular bisector. Well, when I draw that vertex and perpendicular bisector to the opposite side, it's to this side.
Yeah.
I have to continue it past there because this vertex is perpendicular bisector to this line. If I continue this line, see how they dotted it out there? Doesn't happen until it crosses all the way out here on the triangle. And then this vertex is perpendicular bisector to the opposite side. This opposite side also has to be extended out so that it can cross and make a perpendicular bisector. It's where all three of those meet is where the orthocenter happens. That's the hardest one to see.
Okay, I have no idea what you said.
You have to continue your triangles out. So if
How
this
is that
isn't,
an obtuse? It's not bigger than.
It's the little
The-
purple
the-
part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's still.
you have to continue your sides all the way out. I've got to continue this side all the way out of that triangle. So that I can draw from this vertex something that is perpendicular to that side. I have to continue this side all the way out so that I can draw something that is perpendicular from this vertex to that side.
Still don't
Gotcha.
get it. I still don't get it.
And then
Gotcha.
this one,
Oh.
it's perpendicular here, but hey, those don't meet. So I have to continue my perpendicular line through so that
So
they
how do
meet.
you know, like,
Isn't it on just the tip?
okay, I got it.
Okay.
I don't get it. I just don't understand.
So when you go to create a perpendicular line using your compass,
Oh, we have to use a compass, not,
yes, you're gonna have to use a compass. There's not a way to eyeball that.
yeah.
You have to use a compass.
Is that a thing that's not the straight line? Is the compass the one that you make circles with?
Yes. So you have to know how to do a perpendicular bisector in order to do that. That's why we've practiced them. Because now you're going to have to get them out and do them. On your homework, I suggest actually drawing them and doing them. Okay?
Are you gonna teach us how to do it, the compass?
We have learned how to do
Oh,
it
I
with
don't
the compass.
You just like make the little tweaks and then draw through the lines.
Right.
It's in the book if you didn't get it.
Oh, like this. So you go like this, and then you go like this, and then the point where they meet down here, you draw a line across there.
Yeah, with a straight edge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.
We had to
Like
explain how to
what?
do it on one of our quizzes.
Mhm.
That was parallel.
No, when it's like that.
That's a
then-
parallel.
Which is why you have to
2/3 and
extend
then
this triangle line out so that you
2/3.
can create the
And then
perpendicular.
a line.
Yeah, it has to be more than half, right? It has to be 2/3 of the way, and then flip it and you keep it the same,
And then
2/3 of the way,
There.
and then you use a
and
straight
there,
edge.
and- yeah.
What are the coordinates of the triangle's orthocenter?
Oh my god.
How do you think you could figure that out?
Well, first we have to figure out what kind of triangle it is.
Obtuse.
Okay, first you figure what type of triangle it is.
So it has to be outside.
So it has to be outside. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
So now,
And you have 1, 7, 2, 1, 6, 1, correct?
yeah, extend the line.
Extend what lines?
2, 1, and 6, 1, and then 1, 7, and 2, 1.
You just say
Okay.
extend things.
So you want to extend lines and you want to,
Well, yeah,
Then find the perpendicular thing that lines up.
we're gonna have to do it outside of the city.
Yeah.
We make 7-1 to 2-1.
where do you think it's going to fall at?
It's going to fall outside the triangle.
Like above the obtuse
But
angle.
where do you think outside of the triangle?
Above 1-7.
Above the obtuse angle.
No, but the 2-1.
Above, or right by 2-1, by 2-1.
Like,
I don't understand
Outside
how
of
this
2
works.
So the ortho center is at 2, or the, whatever is at 2-1, correct?
this way, this way.
How?
Let's change this. Let's do something else. Let's change this to 2-7.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's a right.
Okay, so if it's a right triangle, what do you do?
It's going to be on the line.
Then you don't, it's like that.
Are you sure it's a right triangle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because 1,
Because
2,
2 and 2 is the
1
same thing.
goes there.
Well,
And
Yeah,
then it
but
goes
yeah,
1
you
is
should-
7.
What if I change it to this?
Then it's
Okay.
not
It's a right
no, it's an acute.
Oh, she keep changing this thing, this is scary.
Yeah, because I'm asking. I'm just asking where you think they'll be. Okay, so then let's do this. Let's go back to these original numbers and let's figure out how to do this mathematically.
I don't understand.
Okay, draw a line.
Draw what type of line?
Vertical.
An angle bisector.
Let's do it this way, Margot. Go over there.
You have water bottles.
Just wait. Mark 2-1.
Don't mess up.
Oh my gosh.
Mark 1-7.
Can you chill out? You are so.
Okay, right, yeah, perfect. And Mark 6-1.
I'm literally doing water.
Good, now connect those.
I hate
Okay. Good.
you. Probably just the 3.
So you are correct in saying that you have to draw a line, but what type of line do you have to draw?
Okay,
So
Straight
an
line.
altitude, right?
well,
We're finding the ortho center, you have to find the altitude.
Okay,
So, roll it over 1, draw over 1, do a dot dot dot.
everything over 1?
No, 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 no,
Nope.
no.
Here.
2, 1, 2,
give me
1,
another,
a little
wait,
bit from
time out,
1,
time out,
7.
time out, time out.
Go from 1-7 and go down to the 1, go down to 2-1.
Start at that top point, because I think it's the easiest one for us to see.
1-7 to 2-1.
Where do you think that right angle is going to happen with the side opposite of it?
Go straight down.
Like left of
No,
It goes straight down.
1-1.
okay, yes, Chloe's right. It's because you're, what are you doing right now, Abby?
Don't worry, Chloe.
Straight down.
Look. Margo. You have to pretend that this line extends out further, because it does. Oh, you just moved it.
Yeah.
So if this extends out further, yes,
You were right, Sam, it is 1-1.
okay, then this comes down here. Boom, right there makes a right angle, correct? Right there. Okay, see that? Now, from this one, I need a right angle with that side. Here's what you can't do, because that one you can't see, yes? Okay. What do you know about perpendicular lines?
That
They meet at
is
a
90, they create a 90
They meet at a 90-degree angle, but let's talk about the equation of those lines.
that they have opposite reciprocals.
Oh, there we go. So we have to find the what?
Slope.
The slope of the line opposite of it, so that I can figure out what the slope of that line would be, so I can draw it through that point. Yes? Okay. So, if I have 1-7 and 6-1 as my points for what's opposite of this, yes? What's opposite of here, I have to use these points, I have to find my slope. So what's my slope?
So do 7. No. 1 minus 6. No, 1 plus 6.
No.
I thought we were
7 minus
midpoint.
1 over
Slope.
1 minus 6.
Oh, sorry.
What'd you say?
7 minus 3 over 1 minus 6.
Changing y over changing x gives you 7 over,
No,
or 6 over 5, yes? So what would be the slope of that line then? Of the line coming from 2-1?
5, 6.
Oh, it'll be
Negative 5,
Yeah.
6. Now, how can I figure out what that line is? Do I have a point that it goes through?
Yes.
What?
2, 1.
So I'm going to use what form?
Point
Point
slope.
slope.
I think
Y
it's
minus 1 equals negative 5, 6, x minus 2, yeah?
Yeah.
Y minus 1 equals negative 5, 6, x. Negative 10, what's 10/6 reduces to
Nope, it'd be
5/3.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna add a 1 to it, yes. Y equals negative 5/6 and 5/3 would be 3 and 3, 8/3.
Y1
Oh.
minus Y2.
It'd be 2 and a,
2 and
I think
2
You messed up the
thirds.
slope.
The
Yeah, you
slope
messed
is
up.
You
negative.
messed
It's
up the
negative.
slope.
It should be 1 minus 6 instead
It
of
should be
6
one
minus
minus 6.
what?
I.
Oh, yeah,
I-
that
I-
should be.
I tried to tell you that, but you weren't listening.
Abby, this
Alright.
one,
Thank you.
found it
How
out.
was that wrong?
The
I
slope
didn't
is
hear
wrong. This one,
7 minus 1,
don't take, I'm not taking any
1
credit.
minus 6.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
so
Took an
considerate,
inside
Brandon.
citation.
So then you go 5, 6,
Bowling
5, 6.
in parentheses. The first taught me that.
The only thing it changes is this and that, right? 10 plus
Like some thinking, you should start.
and minus,
I'm really bad at algebra.
5/3, right?
And it's algebra.
And
I
then it
hate
changes
it.
this.
I really don't understand.
I miss algebra so much.
And I don't like algebra.
Guys, algebra.
5, negative 5/3 and
Yep.
1 is negative 2/3,
All ones is just-
2/3, right?
Yes.
So now you can graph that line, correct?
Yes, sir.
Through there. Now, for the other one, the other side, for the point that is here, correct?
Yes.
What do you have to do?
Find the
Slope.
Find the slope so that I can make the perpendicular through this side. So once you find those, you can graph those lines with a straight edge and do that. So you have to use slope and point slope form to figure that out. If it doesn't happen to be perfect like that first side, yes?
It's gonna be so fun.
So you might have to do that 3 times tonight on each triangle. That's why I said you're going to need to draw this out. You're going to need to have graph paper and a straight edge and a ruler, because it has to be precise.
I'm soon a week tomorrow.
Yeah.
Guys, you've done this before, so.
Wait, are we done with that?
No, we have not. Yeah, that's all for this whole lesson.
You
Hold on a
did?
second, send me the thing.
May I guys have a water?